Corey's diligence, but I also. There's probably
Is there no way to like?
Yeah. So some folks are running for the Senate.
Yeah, but
What am I looking at?
like. Okay, all right, that's the best we can do, is like, I would just like.
We are live.
Meeting, but, okay, all right,
Wow.
order, please. Silence in the boardroom. Thank you. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to acknowledge that the Wartburg University Students Union operates on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee people. I have received no regrets for this meeting tonight. I'll open the floor for conflicts of interest. Are there any conflicts of interest for the directors to share with me today? Okay, as I see none, move into the adoption of the agenda. Can I have a mover? Director Phillips, seconded by Chair-elect Russo. Any discussion on the matter? As I see none, we'll move into voting. Any opposition? Abstention? In favor? Please use the electronic hand, Director Hamilton, if it's possible, just so it's easy for us to. And the motion passes with unanimous consent. Thank you. On to the adoption of the consent agenda, all of the monitoring reports. Can I get a motion that the board of directors adopt the consent agenda as presented? Vice Chair Rubinoff, seconded by Director Baldinelli. Any discussion on the matter? As I see none, we'll, Director Corey.
Just two things. I know the template may need to be updated. There's a mention to the VP Finance and Administration, which is out of date.
Okay.
And then just a note on the treatment of staff appendix C, it was inaccessible.
It was what? It was what?
Inaccessible.
Inaccessible? What do you mean it was inaccessible?
It doesn't work. You can't access it.
Sorry, which report are you talking about?
Appendix C for treatment of staff. So just the one that's in this link. Basically.
Okay, is this an issue where you want to pull this item out of consent, or can we just?
No,
proceed
just
with it?
notes.
Okay, thank you, noted. Any opposition to the motion? Abstentions? In favor? And Director Hamilton, okay, and the motion passes with unanimous consent. On to the Senate election. As you, directors, as you've received, information that there will be an election today, there will be a couple of different candidates that will be speaking today. The format of the election will be straightforward and to the point. Each candidate will have up to 1 minute as an opening statement. One question will be asked to all candidates, and then 1 minute for closing statements from all candidates. All right, I'm just gonna open up the just wanna see if the people who have nominated themselves for the Senate, if you could please put your hand up so that I can track you. 1, 2, any online? 3, is there a 4th one? Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, correct? Online, can you please state your name?
My name is Harini.
Okay, perfect. What's your name?
Linda Pereira,
Linda Pereira?
and Cindy Todd.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Governance coordinator Sway, how many positions were there? There are 2?
2, yeah.
2 positions. Okay, so the election will be for 2 positions. Please keep that noted. So we'll start off with the opening statements. Harini, you have 1 minute to.
Sorry, there's 4 candidates.
Oh.
Yeah, police is another candidate.
I,
I could have not, like, not nominate.
okay,
There's 4.
there's 4. I didn't, okay.
They're all in the panel.
Well, yes, but I didn't hear anything. Okay, Director Muller, before we start the election?
Yeah, and just to clarify, there's 1 full term and then a partial term, which is just the last 2 meetings of this academic year. So just so that's clear for candidates, there's one full term and then the remainder of the current term ending with the last, I believe there'll be 2 meetings for that candidate.
Question, Director Muller, will we be electing one person for both? Or one person for the 2 and then one person for the full term?
I mean, there's a couple ways you could do it. You could have the highest vote getter getting the full term, the second vote getter getting the partial term. You could canvass the candidates currently to see if there are any who are interested in just the partial term.
Yeah, okay. Let's open that up to the candidates, to the 4 candidates. Are any of you interested in a 2-month term only? Okay, as I see none, that means by de facto, it'll be 1 full term plus 2 months. Okay, perfect. So, let's start off with Leah. Leah, you have 1 minute for your opening statement.
Okay, I know that this is a bit awkward, but I didn't get any details or anything about what was happening today. Do you just want me to like introduce myself and why I'm running?
Yes, so that 1 minute introduction is just your pitch.
Okay. So my name is Leia Felice. I'm a 3rd-year political science student here at Laurier. I am specializing in legal studies and I'm pursuing a minor in North American Studies. I am currently the president of Laurier's Social Justice Club, which is a newly established club here at Laurier. So as a president, I have a lot of communication with staff here at Laurier to organize events. I talk a lot with students to understand what they want us to speak out about. And our club basically spreads awareness and education about current injustices and advocacy subjects around Laurier. So we've partnered with a lot of different clubs, such as the Women Leading Politics Association. And we've also hosted events with the communications associate professor here at Laurier. So we just really hope to promote advocacy. So this shows that I'm really involved in the community, both online and on campus. And I love to hear what other students have to say and how we can, shed light on what they care about. And I'm also involved in a lot of extracurriculars, such as I am a note taker with the Career Center. So I also help give students career advice for, internships, co-ops, such stuff like that. And
Hi, thank you. Appreciate
Have
it.
you thought about a gavel code with last 10 seconds like this? And gavel, well, they wouldn't be able to hear it.
All right, thank you for your time. We will then proceed on to Harini. You have 1 minute.
Maybe I'll just like write in the chat 10 seconds so
Yes.
it's less disruptive.
Okay, perfect.
Destructive.
So I'll just signal to you, Orlando.
Okay.
All right. Perfect. You may start when you're good to go, Harini. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Okay, hello, I hope everyone's doing well. My name is Harini, and I'm currently a 2nd-year student at Laurier. I'm currently majoring in political science. The reason why I applied for Senate is because I believe it would be an amazing opportunity for me to serve the people, to help the Laurier community through its skills and experiences to the best of my ability. I've done a lot of volunteering experiences where I'm able to communicate with people from different backgrounds. And my experiences was I was actually a teacher assistant in the former high school I used to attend.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. On to Kenzie.
All right. Do you guys want me to stand up or?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Okay, cool. Perfect. So hi everyone, I hope everyone's having a good afternoon. My name is Kenzie. I am a second year political science and psychology student. I'm specializing in public policy. So a little bit about me, I'm a varsity athlete, I'm with the swim team. I'm also part of a couple extracurriculars on campus. I'm a part of Model UN. I'm also part of Debate Society. I'm also part of Get Swabbed. I'm also part of LESA, multiple other clubs. I won't bore you guys with these details. But moral of the story is that I love to be integrated in the Laurier community, and I want to be able to see all different aspects and all the different diversity areas that this campus has to offer, and that's why I try to be involved as much as I can be. And one of the reasons why I even decided to run for Senate, I had no idea this was a position until my dear friend Louis here told me. And I feel like it's the same thing for a lot of our students. They don't understand the type of things that Laurier has to offer, including what Senate does or how Senator may help them. And so I feel like being in this position, I would be able to help students learn more about what Laurier has to offer and what this campus can really do to help their voices be heard. And that's kind of one of the main reasons I decided to run for election today. And yeah, I did my time.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Last but not least, Linda.
Yes, hi, so my name is Linda. This is actually my first semester at Laurier. I'm a dual degree, so I'm taking anthropology and because this is my first semester, I haven't been able to really explore that much about what Laurier has to offer, and I wanted to learn to sort of integrate more things like clubs and different positions throughout that. And then I ended up getting the email about running for Laurier Senate, and upon reading the description of everything and how much of like a broad sector of what it offers in terms of like help with student deals and the different staff and faculty that you work with, it ended up being something that I wanted to apply for. In anthropology, where you sort of learn about different cultures and how different diversity aspects work, I want to take that into my future with my job, and hopefully have an occupation that pertains to that. But I figured starting sort of like here and being able to branch out here and learn through different cultures and different people and different opinions is something that I wanted to look into. So yeah. Okay.
Perfect, thank you so much. We'll move into question period. I'll give one question to the board and then I'll yield the second question. Any questions from the directors? There are none, then I'll just ask my question. Any
I
questions?
would ask, time management, what's your schedule like, and are you willing to put in?
That's a very good question. So, the question formally to the.
First of all, thank you guys for, running for the Senate position. My question really is what's your scheduling and time management skills? The Senate, it takes a lot of time in meetings, preparing. Are you willing to put in time and effort to make sure, you'll be a contributing member of the SB Senate?
Okay, so I'm just gonna wait until the governance coordinator can write the question into the chat so that online candidates will have a fair and equitable. Thank you, Director Spiteri, appreciate it. Then we'll go in reverse order. That's okay. Just once she's submitted that. Okay, perfect. Linda, you have
Yeah.
1 minute.
Yeah, thank you. Because I haven't really had the opportunity to look into anything else, when I first found Laurier Senate and received the email about it, it seemed kind of like my main priority of extra thing to sort of look into doing. I definitely have the time for it, although I do classes, it's something that I think is worth the time management to put into and for the care of it. It would definitely become a main focus of mine. So, yeah.
Perfect, thank you. Kenzie.
So I believe that time management is more of my stronger skills, just because after first year, you kind of learn how to balance things out a lot more. And especially with having to deal with so many different clubs and being part of varsity, I really have to make sure that everything is on a calendar. And that all my times are incorporated. If I have something to do, I have to write it down. And so I feel like if I were to get the position, I would be able to incorporate all the time management needed into my calendar. If I have things due, or if I have something to write up or questions to ask, all these things would be written down. It's not just something I leave on the top of my head. And so that would make it very easy to make sure that no tiny little details are missed, which I believe happens a lot. And yeah, that's kind of something that I'd be looking forward to.
Perfect, thank you. Harini.
Personally for me, I would like to create a time schedule so that way everything is in order. So then everything is organized. So then I'm able to balance any jobs I have or classes that I'm taking during the semester.
Okay, thank you. Leah.
For me, I've consistently managed 2 jobs and volunteering while at Laurier since first year. I'm taking a full term. I commute to school, so I've always kind of been go, go, go. I work very early in the morning, so it's allowed me to have time to study and to take my classes and to do tutoring at night too. I've stepped away from tutoring just because I've kind of outgrown that and I wanted to find something that was more tailored to what I want to do after school. So I'm just working early in the morning and then I have the rest of the day to commit to any tasks, homework, classes, that type of stuff that this requires.
Okay, perfect, thank you. So I'll reserve the last question for myself. I'm both on the Board of Governors and on the Senate. My Senate term is ending. I've learned through this position that it genuinely does take a lot of time. And attending the meetings is like really important. It's not just attending the meetings, you're also expected to sit on a committee. One of the committees that you're most likely to be placed on would be the Senate Student Appeals Committee, where a lot of appeal cases typically related to student academic issues, let's put it that way, are brought after being rejected from the faculty level. So with that in mind, it's really, really important that you read up on all of the different things that you'll be expected to vote and speak on. So you need to coordinate with the other student senators ideally. And then the second thing is understanding the cases that are coming to you through and through, so that you can be a fair but strong student advocate for a lot of students who are unfortunately being denied a fair judgment from their faculties because some faculty members have a superiority complex. So with that in mind, what are you going to do that will differentiate you from other people, from the other candidates, that will make you the strong student advocate that students deserve? And this way, and then we'll go in reverse order. So we'll go with Leah, Harini, Kenzie, and Linda. But I'll let the governance coordinator type the question into the chat first.
Well, it's not typing.
Oh,
Wow.
so just give us a moment as the governance coordinator writes the question in the chat.
I want you to get it word for word. Yeah.
Do the transcription there, yeah.
Like so many appeals, and it's just straight bollocks, straight garbage.
Like sometimes, well, it's like some of the cases, I can't speak about the specifics, but I've seen some cases. They accuse students of cheating or like, yes, we're good? All right, perfect. We'll talk about example cases after the meeting has concluded. Order, please. So Leah, you have 1 minute.
As a tutor of several years, I tutor kids across North America from kindergarten to grade 12 and sometimes at the university level if they still need help. But this has really helped me create like an impartial and very safe space with students of different ages. I say this because they may come and confide in me because I am their tutor, tell me about an abusive or dangerous situation, tell me about how they aren't doing well in school and they aren't performing and their teachers aren't giving them the help that they need. So I've dealt with a lot of de-escalation, impartial judgment, and just providing support for someone regardless of their identity, their age, or their background. I think that's really helped me kind of put myself in their shoes and think, what would I want someone to tell me and how would I want them to help me? So I always try to adapt and fit in the person's shoes that I am helping, just because I want to get the full scope of the issue and help them the best that I can.
Perfect, thank you. On to Brady.
I also want people's voices to be heard because not many people's voices are being heard, and also like helping the Laurier community by focusing on the issues that has been occurring more in Laurier and solving that issue.
Okay, thank you. Kenzie.
I believe I would stand out as a candidate by kind of looking at a deeper perspective with those cases. I believe that there's always two sides to every story, obviously, but when reading up on the cases, it's really hard to not miss certain details, and I feel like I'm very detail oriented, especially when it comes to these things, and it's one of the skills we've learned in poli-sci, also in psych, so I feel like I'd be very good at picking apart those tiny pieces and making sure that no detail is missed, and so when you come to a judgment, it's not just something that, oh, I decided last minute, I'm gonna vote yes or no, but it's based on all those different factors that you took into perspective, and I'm also not scared to like ask for help if needed, so if I'm reading on something, I have no idea if this is right or this is wrong, you can ask, obviously, like, your peers and be like, okay, guys, how can we make sure that we're making the right decision? And so I feel like that's kind of one thing that I would try to focus most on, is just making sure that both party voices are being heard, but you're also assessing it fairly.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Linda.
Yeah, so, before coming to Laurier, I went to Conestoga for a year. So I have a GSD certificate in, advanced human applications, which is kind of like a blanket term for like psychology and analyzing human behavior. And within that, we were able to look into not, academic pertaining, case studies, but ones that sort of look deeper into one-on-one situations between individuals and being able to come through resolution towards those things. I think I would be really good at being able to assess a situation and look at it from both angles. Again, also with the knowledge that students definitely have a little bit of a harder going for them, being able to advocate for the student and stick up for what's right, and also look at the situation from a proper bird's eye view is something that I'd be able to excel.
Okay, perfect, thank you. This concludes, unless there are any pertinent questions by the directors. No, cool. This concludes the Q&A section. We will now be proceeding on to the closing section. We'll go again in reverse order. So Linda, I apologize. Linda, Kenzie, Harini, and then Leah. You will all have 1 minute. Linda, please go ahead.
Yeah, so just in conclusion, again, looking at receiving the email about a fine, it was definitely something that immediately caught my attention. And looking into how much it offers in terms of all the help that it can, it's definitely something that really caught my eye. And since I am so new to Laurier, it's something that I'm really looking forward to being able to dedicate my time to if given the opportunity. And it's something that I'm really looking forward to maybe possibly getting a chance to be in the of and be able to help other students.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Kenzie.
I really hope you guys consider me for the position, and I'm really looking forward to it. I believe that I'd be able to bring a set of assets that would really help kind of set it go over and beyond. As someone that's really passionate about the Laurier community as being a part of it in so many different ways, and I can just see myself bringing in all of these different ideas and making sure that we can help the students' voices be heard and let them know that this is the thing that we're here to support and help them. And thank you guys so much for your time.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Harini?
I hope I'm able to contribute to the Laurier community and help bring a greater change to the Laurier community for the better.
Okay, thank you so much. Leah?
I want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen to me. I know I had a rough start, but I really do think that I can inspire change here at Laurier. I've done it through my club. I started my own club, and all we do is promote injustices and try to get students to become aware of different things and shed light on things that matter to them, because most often don't take the time to educate themselves on important topics. I'm extremely interested in the position just because I do want to advocate for people. I do want to help students. I do want to make Laurier a better place because it is one of my favorite places to be. And it is better when we are a community and we're all close together and we all agree on what's going on and we feel good about it. So thank you guys.
Okay, thank you so much. Before we proceed to voting, I want to just inform the candidates, just because you don't get elected doesn't mean you can't be involved. I would highly recommend having some sort of like, whoever ends up being elected, have some sort of shadowing with another candidate that's here, if they're really passionate about the role. So please feel free to connect with each other, whoever ends up winning. Just so that, you know, eventually, new positions will open up next year so that you're more prepared to go into the position since you already have a little bit of. So just want to put that out there to whoever ends up winning, and good luck. Just quick questions, Director Mueller. Director Mueller.
Yeah, go ahead.
If there is no clear majority on a candidate, how would we go about doing ranked choice voting?
Or we just do one round. There's
Where are we drawing?
You did, yes. My phone.
So we're writing one name.
Okay, so are we doing?
But let's just, if we come to the problems, we'll deal with it.
Okay, all right.
So just one name. One name.
One name. Director Baldwin, if you want to send me the name, that would be appreciated via MS Teams or email. Or send an email to.
You've got it, you've got it.
Oh, he's done it already, okay, never mind then. Cool.
No ballot box for you.
I'll just click them.
Like I did.
You gonna vote?
No. I'm just like, be right back.
A lot better. Awesome.
Was yours?
Well, dude,
I mean, that's so true.
No, I don't.
Oh, very discreet.
I didn't want you to know. I know you checked
You gotta go
those.
count them.
Oh, I did.
You're an objective, brother, impartial, blah, blah, blah.
Don't you want them not to be objective? Or you do want them to be said objective? Never mind,
You wanna be.
I was.
More importantly, impartial.
No skin in the game. No dogs in the race.
Correct.
Sure. No dogs in the race. No dogs. No dogs. I don't have any dogs. No dogs. Yeah. No dogs. Congratulations, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
You have weekly, like 7-hour sessions every day to take questions.
I'll do it.
But isn't, how many turns?
That means stop talking. Thank you.
Wait, this was not.
That what that means.
What?
I didn't know.
It was not?
Yeah, you're not in there.
Okay, let me.
Can you explain it one more time, because then try, let's see, we get this out.
The non-fair legend. Throw it out.
All right, perfect. All right, thank you so much to all of the candidates that came out tonight. By majority, Leah Felice has been picked by the board to be appointed to both of the terms. Congratulations. As I mentioned earlier, if any of the candidates that did not get elected are still really interested in this role, please reach out to the candidate that was elected. And hopefully the candidate that was elected would be interested in having you shadow them. So do we need a motion? I think we need a motion to appoint, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I'd like to motion that the board of directors appoint Leah Felice to the Wilfrid Laurier University Wilfrid Laurier University Senate, seconded by Director Ellis. Any further discussion on the matter? Okay, as I see none, we'll move into voting. Any opposition? Any abstentions? All those in favor? We're missing. With the motion passes 0-0 to 11. Thank you so much. Somebody from the Laurier University Secretariat will be in touch with you soon. And if any of the other director-elects are, the Senate nominees are interested, please contact the student there. And hopefully you guys can have a good, productive, working relationship. On to comments from the chair of the board and CGO. Thank you to the director. Yes. Yeah, and you feel free to go if you want to if you want to stick around, stick around.
It's
If
gonna
you
be a
wanna-
long. Heads up.
Yeah, so if you don't want to stay, don't stay, it's gonna be a long night.
10:30.
Or we're gonna continue to be on time, actually.
It says you're not gonna be there until like 10:50.
Perfect.
Let's check it.
At the early.
Do not speak out of order, please. We want to run an efficient meeting so we can get dessert afterwards, like a dog. Thank you. On to the comments from the chair of the board of the CGO. Thank you all to the directors that came out to the dinner today. Hopefully there will be dessert afterwards. I just wanted to take this time and give a shout out to the vice chair of the board for helping me get the monitoring reports over the finish line. Thank you, Vice Chair Rubinoff. You did a wonderful job. So thank you. No. Thank you so much. I'd like to kind of give a order. I'm giving my report. I'd like to give a little update on the transition for our governance for next year. The chair-elect and I have met on several occasions in order to prepare her for the role of this position. We have 2 meetings with university executives already on the books. The vice president of academics and provost, as well as the dean of students. We will have tripartite conversations between all of us to kind of introduce that new face and bridge new connections in order for them to be an effective leader. So yeah, I've been already showing the ropes to the chair-elect, trying to do my best so that she has a smooth takeover and doesn't have as steep as a learning curve as I did coming into this role. Any questions for me? Questions or comments? Director Corr.
With the chair onboarding, is that also including the vice chair elect, or is that just the chair this one?
That's the chair, but the vice, does the vice chair have an update as the chair?
Other than that, all hearings have been sent out. I haven't had the time to meet with my successor yet, but all of them have been in contact.
Okay. Perfect. Any more questions for me? Oh yeah, one more thing. I've attended a variety of different, ownership linkage events across campus. And I've made sure to, bring the student union name forward, engage with our ownership and make sure that, we're actively engaging with the student population, across campus, both in Brantford and in Waterloo. On to comments from the president and CEO. President Spiller, you have the floor.
Thank you. So just an update on our work with Bettering. We've started our consultations with them. So in the month of April, all of the student exec are meeting with them. So all of us whose contracts are done at the end of April, I did mine today and it was a very productive conversation. And then throughout the summer, she's gonna meet with our full-time staff and we're gonna launch a student survey potentially this month and gauge results and then relaunch in the fall if we don't get a lot of uptake from students. So that is on its way and we're excited about that. I'm continuing transition with Ben. So we have a couple meetings set up with Phil, myself and Ben to just go through some more stuff. Phil seems surprised about it. So that's going well. We have a couple final events on both campuses before exams start before the end of the year. We have our USA's partner in higher education dinner next week in Toronto, which a lot of us are going to, so that's exciting. And obviously there's a lot of end of the year events happening right now. And then the only other thing I'll say is we're doing an exam wellness student facing initiative next week with like some giveaways and stuff for students. So stay tuned on our Instagram stories. You guys can get some free stuff and tell your friends. So that's about it for me.
Any questions for the president and CEO? Okay, as I see none, we'll go on to comments from the executive director and chief operating officer. Bill Champagne, you have the floor.
Yeah, just some quick updates. Big update for us from a staffing standpoint is Tony Massey is back as of today from his parental leave. In typical Tony Massey fashion, he is off tomorrow, but back on Wednesday. But yeah, we're really looking forward to having him back into the fold and kind of moving some projects forward. As if on cue, the comprehensive compensation review project is an ongoing work in progress. Brought him up to speed with where we're at on that, and we'll be bringing that across the finish line, hopefully as soon as possible. Quick update on Milton. Orientation is obviously a big part of the Laurier experience in September, and we're trying to figure out what's a really great way to kind of engage that first year class in Milton. The inaugural class is a really big deal for obviously Laurier, and we want to make that really, really special to them and kind of try to transfer some of that Laurier feeling to life on Milton. Their building and their setup is going to be very unique to them. But we want to make sure that they feel like they're part of the Laurier family, so we're looking forward to that. The Center for Student Equity, Diversity and Inclusion in Waterloo has finally taken possession of their space in the arts building, and they'll be slowly moving over between now and the end of this year, with a more comprehensive move happening in May. We're excited about that because the student contribution to that project was pretty substantial, and that was like over 3 years ago, it feels like. So we're pretty happy about them being able to finally move into that space because it'll really get them into a very private and secure space for them, where they hopefully will thrive as a group.
Okay.
As AAA and Stack is still moving forward steadily. We have an executive group meeting tomorrow afternoon, sorry. I'm looking forward to continue to work with those leaders. The operating procedures agreement, there is no significant update. The project manager for that has taken leave, so we're regrouping with Matt McCartney, one of the lawyers at the university, to kind of figure out exactly where we are bookmarked so that we can start to move that forward in her absence. We do have a facility asset management meeting on Friday where we're hopefully going to be able to review the split request, as well as my counter offer that was submitted a little over a week ago to see with regards to the chillers and air handling project. And then just out of curiosity, maybe I'll ask this later, but just kind of curious when the next board meeting will be, when we hopefully submit the full budget for review.
Isn't that in 2 weeks from now?
Well, it's booked on an exam day. I'm not sure if that works for everybody, or I'm happy to keep it if that's the date, but.
Is it like at 8:30?
Yeah, my next one's tomorrow.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up. We may have to push We may have to push the last meeting of the year, like, to basically the last week of April, but that's not really ideal, because if we do it before the 22nd, that would be really great, because, or, sorry, I'm looking at,
Are we in a position to move it to next week?
no, I
That's
have
not
no
easy.
bet with next week.
No
Um, Perhaps, if we could do it on, you know, the 25th of April, exam should be done, no? 24th of April? Can we do it on 24th of April at like, say, 7? You have an exam?
It's
at 8:30.
Yeah.
I have a 2 on the.
Maybe what we can do is you and I can connect later this week, could be as early as tomorrow, and just to figure out, throw out some options to people and see what we can get the best of.
Yeah.
Would you like me to make a link right now in the background? I can send it to everyone. They can
Please
fill it out
do, thank you.
For the week of the 22nd.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to open that can of worms, but I felt like we weren't.
Thank you.
Can you guys fill it out in real time when I send it?
Yes.
Oh,
But we will continue, we will proceed, so we'll wait on the counter offer from the university or the response to the counter offer. Onto, the finance committee midterm and final report, those reports were submitted to the board, albeit late, but eventually they got across the line. Thank you to all the directors who came for our super long 3 or 4 hour long back-to-back meetings, so that was fun, talking about governance for a whole evening. Yeah, there were no issues brought by the committee, no real concerns other than the ones that have been noted. So, yeah, does anybody have any questions in regards to the finance committee report? Okay, as I see none, we'll just proceed on to the next line item. Which is the DICs,
I don't believe there was any amendments proposed no, there was.
Yeah. So as you have seen in the DIC reports, the committees have found no need, have inspected the different policies and have found no updated proposed changes. So does anybody have any questions about the DIC reports? Okay, as I see none, we'll now move on to the 2024 elections report by governance coordinator, the chief learning officer as well. Yeah, the floor.
Do not have to accept it.
No, okay,
Yeah,
we do.
yeah, you need to motion to accept the DIC reports, as well as have you accepted the finance committee report? I may have missed that.
So I'm gonna do an omnibus bill. Can I get a seconder on, or I'm gonna motion that the board accept the finance committee midterm and final report, as well as the DIC reports for EL2H and GP2G. Can I get a seconder on that? Director Mahari, any discussion on the motion? Okay, as I see none, we'll go into voting. Any opposition? Any abstention? All those in favor? And the motion passes with unanimous consent. On to the elections report.
Yeah, like basically, as it says in the report, I feel like the elections went pretty well. And like, that is also probably because athletics contributed a lot into it, but obviously we as a board did a lot for it as well. So, yeah, I feel like everyone just gave it their all, and then you can see my whole report there. If anyone has any questions about anything, like any of like the SWOT analysis and like that.
Any questions regarding the
Or if
elections?
anyone has any feedback that they would like me to add into the report that I give the next chief returning officer, that feel free to.
Cool. Director Flurry, I'll be right.
I don't know if this is jumping forward a little bit too soon, but kind of in your report, you mentioned the necessity of like travel options. And then into the corresponding election budget, I think it allocates a new $300 for transportation. Do you think that's sufficient or kind of, what is your take on that amount?
So my plan is to have the foot patrol van be as sort of like a, vehicle to bring students or candidates to Brantford or from Brantford to Waterloo, so like vice versa. And so I think it'll just also depend on how many students will be running and stuff. So like if students have their own personal vehicles and want to drive themselves because they have a plan because they want to come back earlier in the afternoon than when the set time is, then obviously they can drive themselves and then perhaps I could talk about like reimbursement coming from that budget instead of like the student's own budget. But again, it'll just have to depend on circumstances. Like if there's not many people running for positions, obviously there would not be need for that. But yeah, like I've heard the like submission feedback from somebody, and I've taken it into account in the budget. But again, like if there's a greater need, we can always next year allocate more, I think.
Okay. Perfect. Any more questions or comments? President Speller, you have the floor.
Sorry, not about this, but did you guys get my email?
Yeah, I'm
Can someone please forward it
I'm
to
doing it right
Mary? What's your email?
MEHA, my sent it to my sister-in-law, my sister gets all my emails. 1190,
Wait, don't you have a board email?
I don't.
No, we've transitioned away, which I think is gonna be one of my recommendations for our transition for next year. Moving to My Laurier emails is
Yes.
probably not a great decision.
Okay, can you just spell it out quickly?
EHA. 1190. Oh, like they want us to.
Jack, I can't find your email either.
I'll have it while living
Oh,
on.
okay, here, this explains
Never
everything.
worked, no, I went to ICT like 8 times.
Yeah, but like the new director's not gonna be issued to you guys, which I think is.
Yeah, we must have a few more.
If anyone didn't get it, let me know. I'm sending it to you too right now.
All right, the chair recognizes the chair-elect, Director Russo.
I don't know if this is like relevant to that, but I just thought there was like some like during campaigning, there was some social media like kind of mishaps with like the nominees and stuff. They're just like people weren't really following the rules sometimes. So, yeah, like I think we just need like a stronger, like surveillance on like what people are posting and when they're posting it, just cause like there was the one person who like submitted their personal account as like their like campaign account at the start, so I thought that was kind of like unfair to everyone else. And then during the voting period, there's people like doing their personalized voting, like posting personalized voting things.
Okay,
Sure.
so, I found, to address like the first part of your like statement size question, I did find a candidate who used their personal email, so then I contacted them and told them, and we had communication about, like not using your personal email, but yeah, I understand what you're coming from, where like the rules are a little bit unclear, so like in the all candidates meeting, it could just be like spoken about with greater clarity, so like more emphasis on that, definitely. If you have any like complaints or if you have any like reports, please definitely email me. Like I had candidates submitting just like informal conversations with me, like that would work as well if you have something that you want to say. But like for the future, I mean, and then in terms of like the second part of your question, did you say a candidate like was posting on their personal?
Like they were posting like personal like infographics they made during the voting period, which you said we're only supposed to post. So like.
Yes, there was one candidate who on their Instagram story posted a not approved social media like on their candidate account or like their official one. And I did contact them, letting them know that that wasn't allowed and that there'd be like I don't know, like consequences for the action. Sounds really severe, but like Mohammed and I were both involved in that communication with the candidate.
We were both very proactive, like the chief returning officer and I both worked very diligently to continue to stay up to date with all of the candidates and their social media. And the chief returning officer, I believe, did a wonderful job in trying to make sure that the playing field was very fair. So,
But like, in terms of like, if that's your personal account and you're promoting voting for yourself, like, we can't really police that, but definitely
I
for
don't,
like,
I don't know if anyone did that, but I just know
Okay.
it was on donation.
yes.
But, yeah, it like got taken down like the next day or wasn't it?
Yeah, so if it was put on late at night, perhaps I didn't see it, but in the morning when I came into office at 8, I did see that and then it came out like almost right away.
Yeah, like everything like I noticed got like fixed eventually. It was
Okay,
just like, I just noticed it and then I was like,
Yeah.
oh, interesting. So just-
If you also in the future, like, notice anything, like, just let me know as well, like, I can definitely help with that, like, if you have any complaints, I don't want people to be scared to come talk to me about anything, so, yeah.
Alright, thank you.
No, she's trying to see if I got the survey.
okay.
He hasn't filled out the survey.
Okay,
Anyone else have any questions or feedback, like, it could have been something that you think could have gone better, or like suggestions, I'll take anything.
all right, any other feedback or? I guess I have one feedback, I think maybe next year, extending voting by another 24 hours might be a good idea. No?
You wanna add
Campaigning for that?
Fourth day?
No, but sorry, extending campaigning for an extra day might be.
No. No.
Okay.
So our thought process behind determining or deciding on the campaigning period was to try to keep it contained within a week. And because voting day started on the Tuesday, we let candidates have the Monday before that, just because we found that it can be kind of tiring for candidates to like be promoting themselves for too long of a time period. And that's why we came to the board to ask if we could shorten it.
Right,
But like, I guess if next year, I don't know, like. Yeah, I mean, we can always ask candidates how they felt about extending it. I mean, like, can I ask you, for what reason did you think we should, like, what do you think the extra day will like contribute to?
some of the feedback that I got from some of the people that ran for for the board of directors is that they felt they didn't have enough time, but. It's
Okay.
just a suggestion, the suggestion is dead.
Oh, no, cause like, sometimes people, like, if people utilize the, it's not my fault, but like, we had a, like, pre-approval period to which, like, if, like, theoretically, if a candidate submitted everything before that and had everything pre-approved, like, could have started the ground running on the Monday when the, like, campaign
Yeah.
started, but, I have been, like, given feedback that maybe we should have the pre-approval period like last longer than the week that we
Perhaps.
gave it. So like maybe that could be a
Yes.
solution to your problem.
Yeah, I think that might be the best solution, and I'd appreciate it if you could. Director Corey, be very brief, and then we need to move on.
Yeah, I'll just add, like, as a candidate and from the perspective of having had the discussions with all the other presidential candidates, by the end of the week, we were done.
Okay.
We did not want to do it.
Cool. Perfect, thank you. On to the student life levy endorsement letter by Executive Director Chevy.
Yeah, so. Gonna try and take my personal feelings out of this.
Yes, go on.
No, you can go if you want.
No, go ahead, Just-
But ultimately, we've brought that situation to hopefully very close to the finish line and being closed and settled business. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the last iteration of the Waterloo Student Life Levy Committee voted unanimously to make a contribution. They, for lack of a better term, they couldn't find the money, they found the money, and now they want to go through the formal process of allocating that money. The recommendation is that it repay the fund that covered that donation for Alumni Field and ultimately set up the seed money for the project account for phase 1 of the Seagram project. And ultimately, we're looking for this board's endorsement of the Student Life Levy Committee Waterloo and their donation to that effect. There is a motion that's in the package. I can't remember the exact words of it.
I don't recall signing this.
That's because you haven't signed it. We're waiting for the board to say, yes, you can sign.
Okay.
That's why your
Yeah, it's like,
signature
I
is
saw
not
my
on.
name and I'm like.
Yeah, your name's not on it yet.
Okay.
So, basically what will happen is if the board approves it, which I'm hoping that they will, in honor of that group's, last mandate, then we'll print it off on letterhead and have you sign it for real and send it off.
All right. Any questions for Executive Director, Champagne, regarding the motion? Director Corey.
Is that a question on the process, just because I think it's a little different from when we last talked about it, but so is it us approving the money on behalf of what SLL did to then go directly into the project, and then SAA's contribution is just minus what SLL contributed, or?
Correct.
That might-
Essentially, what will be happening is that the reserve is contributing $2.5 million to that project. But the 940, whatever $1,000 it was, will be the root of that, the foundation of that. So ultimately, the reserve will end up playing like 1.5, a little over 1.5.
Okay. Are we gonna get any, kudos for the donations?
Ironically, we have a meeting about something very similar to that with Development Alumni Relations tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock.
Can we get a nice big like student laureate or like universities, does the student union sign on the?
We will discuss it with the university and see what we can do to get better recognition for the donations that we've made to this
It's
facility.
not like a insignificant amount of money, it's a nice chunk of change.
Very familiar with that, yes.
Will we be briefed on what is the recognition for the, can we?
I will ultimately assume that this board of directors will not be updated on that because they will have disbanded by the time that comes around to play. But if Chair-elect Russo would like to have an update on what the recognition is, I'm sure we can provide her board with that at that time.
100% good prerogative.
Yeah, let's do it.
Director Corey, do you have any last comments?
I just like to call a question.
Okay, cool. I was literally about to do that. Can I get a motion that the board approve, or there's no, the motion's not written out. in
The motions at the very, should be at the very top
Oh,
beside the
yeah,
motion.
Oh,
Literally the very top.
Alright, my computer is being very.
That the board of directors endorse the letter affirming
No.
the reallocation of $945,600.
Oh, yeah, there were.
One to the Alumni Field project as originally directed by the Waterloo SLL. For the.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, so can I get a motion that the board of directors endorse the letter affirming the reallocation of $945,634.01 to the Alumni Field project as directly directed by the Waterloo Student Life Levy Committee? Director Corey, seconded by Chair-elect Russo. Any question on the matter? As I see none, we'll move into voting. Any opposition? Any abstentions? All those in favor? And the motion passes with unanimous consent. I will be signing on behalf of the board.
Thank you. On behalf of the Students Union.
Oh, on behalf of the board, students. On to the governance, and elections budget for next year. The budget has been proposed by operations. They have given me an opportunity to, give any feedback, but I wasn't able to get back to them in time for the changes to be brought into consideration. I have talked, with the chair-elect, ahead of time, to get some feedback. Some of the feedback that she gave me was to keep the director volunteer appreciation gift the same, not reducing it, as the workload of a director is substantially higher of a run-of-the-mill general volunteer. That's number one. And number two, I believe that a raise for the board secretary honorarium is due. The work that the board secretary does is important, and making sure that we have a highly motivated employee that will go through the meetings step by step is a very important part of our governance. It's not unprecedented. In previous years, the honorarium was higher. So I believe that there may be, that it would be right to increase the honorarium at least just to inflation, to account for inflation. And yeah, that's it. So I'll yield the floor to Chair-elect Rosen.
I just have, are we just going over the board one, or are we going over the elections one already?
Well, they have to be both. So
So
we're
do you
going
want-
over the governance one first.
Okay. I'm just curious why, so at the bottom for professional development under board training, it went down.
Yeah.
Do you know what the reason for that is?
So we were supposed to do more training this year. But the board didn't seem interested at all in professional development when I brought it up multiple times at the end of the summer and at the beginning of the fall and a couple times in the fall. So the funds just went unused, which is kind of sad. Because the board decided, or the effect of the board was that didn't have much time. So that's why it was decreased. But perhaps next year, the chair-elect can build out a plan for development, for professional development in the summer. So that directors are up to speed by then.
There's also the ability, just because it, like, the budget is not a Bible, the budget is basically kind of a guideline, and if there is an opportunity that we can kind of pursue, that's really excellent. And it exceeds budget limitations, there are ways to kind
Yeah.
of transfer money around.
Yeah, so I mean, that will be the case in this governance year where there will be line transfers to zero out any deficits in any small accounts. Okay, yes, sir.
I do have a quick question with regards to your volunteer appreciation.
Mhm.
Quite honestly, I take a little bit of exception to you thinking that the board does more than the general level volunteers of this organization. And we're trying to keep that consistent across the organization, and I think it's a bad look if you think that otherwise. Just
Sorry,
wondering.
I retract my statement. I do not believe that we do more work than a GB. I quite remember my time being a patrol volunteer on campus and working the multiple late night shifts. So your point is noted, and I retract that statement with apologies.
So are we okay to keep that consistent with the rest of the organization?
So why in like 2020 and 2021 was it 480 and then it went up to 600 and back, why are we back down to 360? Like why? Why was that 480 before?
Different values for different boards. And we haven't been particularly consistent with the volunteer appreciation, and we're in the process of trying to do better than what we've done in the past.
Director Mull.
Yeah, I was just gonna provide some context on the board secretary honorarium. Essentially, we 500 is the max we can offer at an honorarium compensation package, so that's why it's what it is. Obviously, there's always conversations to be had about changing the employment structure, but currently, if you keep it as an honorarium, we're maxed out at the 500 per term.
Director Corey?
500 or 1,500, because I'm.
500 per
15.
term.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, any other questions? All right. So do we need a motion to approve the governance budget as presented? Director Muller?
Yes, please.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the governance budget as proposed? Director Baldwin, seconded by Director Phillips. Any further discussion on the matter? Yeah, as I see none, we'll move into voting. Any opposition to the motion? Any abstention? All those in favor? And the motion passes with unanimous consent. On to the election budget.
Would you like me to?
Sorry, yeah,
Okay, so basically, I increased incentives for Waterloo and Brantford, but I made it for like the first two lines to be voting days only, just because those are the days where like food incentives really help encourage voter turnout and also just create some excitement around voting. And then I felt that in terms of spending that I also needed money for like days prior to voting. So like that would be like when you're looking for nomination packages, like in December and early January. So I also allocated more food incentives for that. just to keep it separate because, I felt like I would have really liked that in my budget, so yeah, for the next person. And then, yeah, as Director Corey had previously mentioned, we added campaign transportation as something new. Just gonna test it out and see if it's enough, if it's not enough, but yeah. And then everything else basically is kind of the same. Obviously, we have no control over like ICT costs. And yeah, everything else is kind of the same, election reimbursement, pricing and supplies have gone up by 500 each, just because like costs are rising for all these stuff and yeah, nothing really to report.
Director Corey.
With kind of the amount you had allocated this year, did you find that you were kind of running at about cost for what had been budgeted, or kind of how did you find you were able to play around with that this year?
I definitely did more manual labor to make things. So for example, I bought a button maker and made like 300 buttons on my own instead of buying them because it was just like half the price for that. So I had to do stuff like that where like I really saved on the amount of money and stuff that I was spending. And I hope that like with more money for supplies and prizes, we can like earlier on, like maybe in December, encourage more student engagement with the Laurier Votes account, beyond like nomination packages, but also just like following us, interacting with like board resources and content as well, so that, again, it's to your benefit as the board as well as like the elections. But yeah, in the sense that like, I feel like I was resourceful to try to ensure that, money was kept to the budget. So, yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Director Muller.
Yeah, I was just gonna add too that the elections budget is a little bit tricky from year to year, just because you never know how many candidates you're gonna have. So we went from in 2023, one presidential candidate to this past year, 4. So obviously your budget needs for things like the transportation piece, fluctuate. So we kind of, this one's definitely a bit more of a rough estimate than some of the other ones.
Okay. Director Hamilton.
Yeah, I was just wondering for the new line item of campaign transportation, I was wondering if you could like briefly run through like the reimbursement process. Like, is this amount based on like mileage, or is it like a flat rate?
I can answer that. The reimbursement for transportation is on a flat rate basis. It's at 55 cents per kilometer for 110 kilometers. That works up to $55 for a two-way trip. And that's submitted either to the CRO and me, and we sign off on those expenses, and those expenses are reimbursed directly to the nominee.
Okay, gotcha. So it's mileage, you're saying, right?
Yes.
Has this like been something that's been like voiced by the candidates, like the difficulty of getting like campus to campus?
I think I can talk on that one a little bit.
Yeah.
And that was something that was heavily voiced by myself, as well as kind of all of the other presidential candidates, especially with inter-campus transit, what it was. This year, we basically had the choice of either we could eat the cost of gas or we could take $300 out of our campaign budget. So I think it's just allocating to that a little bit.
Yes. Director Muller.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and part of the trial for next year with this new line item is, I think we're hoping to lean into some carpool, so set some dedicated times after checking candidate schedule, take candidates down rather than having individual candidates make decisions and then expense for mileage. So we've got a few different ideas. And again, to the unpredictability part, this year we had more candidates wanting to go down to Brantford, which is a good thing, but in previous years there hasn't been as much demand. So it's always, it's something that we're hoping to be able to do better and to be a little bit more intentional and organized with how we do it, both for cost efficiency, minimize the amount of people going down from a sustainability perspective, all of those considerations.
Director Muller, did we get close to the $6,000 budgeted this year? For election
I don't-
reimbursements?
I don't know off the top of my head where we were on that. But we were comfortably below it to keep that number consistent for next year.
President Spindler is checking right now, but while she's checking, can I get a motion that the Board of Directors approve the governance, the elections 2024-2025 budget proposal? Director Corey, seconded by, can I get a second? Director Mahari? Sorry. Any further discussion on the motion as presented? As I see none, we'll move now to voting. President Spindler, do you have a,
Do you want me to do it now or after?
please share the number?
You want exact numbers?
Yes, please.
Okay. For the elections budget, for travel and accommodations, we were like negative $38, so pretty much break even. Sorry,
We're looking at line 780.
7080?
7850.
Oh, yes. So we budgeted 3,638, sorry, we budgeted 6,250. We spent 3,638, so we had $2,611 left.
Okay, so we're very comfortable
Yeah.
with the budget here. So maybe even if next year has an increase, like candidate, that's activity comes with problem. I'm gonna call the motion to a vote. Any abstention from the motion? Oh, sorry, any opposition to the motion? Any abstention? All those in favor? And the motion passes with unanimous consent. Can I get a motion that the Board of Directors move in camera? Director Ellis, seconded by Director Baldwin. I'm gonna recall the motion. Can I get a motion that the Board of Directors go in camera with the addition of Director Muller and Governance Coordinator Sway? And I'll recall the motion. Director Baldwin, seconded by Director Ellis. Any further discussion on the motion, President Spindler?
Before we go on camera, I was just hoping to circle back on the availability poll really quickly.
We'll move in camera, then we'll discuss it again.
You want to discuss it in camera?
Yes,
Okay,
just for efficiency's sake.
okay.
Any further discussion on the motion? Any opposition? Any abstention? All those in favor? And the motion passes with unanimous consent. Please move in camera on MS Teams.
Ian sent out, oh, okay, he's left. Okay, well, Ian sent out a Teams one, so disregard the Teams one in the regular calendar invite. Thank you.
So it's in the calendar?